Guardians of Dominion. Zeus reporting. Byrna is hiding a late battle mechanic that can quietly turn one cast into a complete battlefield swing, and most players will not see it coming until it is already too late. We continue the skill breakdown. And today, we move to Roar of Nature. At first glance, this skill does not look terrifying. On paper it sounds clean, simple, maybe even easy to dismiss. The Guardian Spirit deals 65,000 magic damage to all enemies and heals allies for 65,000 health. But the real danger is not in those numbers. The real danger is what comes after. 100% of the healing from this skill is converted into max health increase until the end of the battle. And that changes everything. Because this is not just healing. Byrna is not restoring lost health and moving on. She is permanently raising the health ceiling of her entire team, while healing them at the same time. Every cast does two jobs. It recovers health in the moment, and it makes those heroes harder to kill for the rest of the fight. Let me slow this down, because this is exactly where most players misread the skill. A hero starts with 100,000 max health. Byrna activates Roar of Nature. The skill heals for 65,000. That hero does not just recover 65,000 health, the max health limit rises by 65,000 as well. The cap is no longer 100,000. It is now 165,000. That alone is already strong. But go one step deeper, because this is where it starts getting dangerous. A hero has 200,000 max health and loses 100,000 during the fight. They are sitting at half health, 100,000 out of 200,000. Byrna fires Roar of Nature. Current health jumps to 165,000. But the max health also climbs to 265,000. So the hero is now more recovered and harder to kill than before the skill landed. This is not a recovery tool. This is healing and permanent survivability expansion happening simultaneously. And that is precisely why Roar of Nature becomes more and more oppressive as the battle stretches on. Every cast makes the next attempt to kill her team even harder than the last. Now here is where things start getting serious. By itself, the skill is straightforward. Clean, effective, strong. But the moment you connect it to Living Heart, Byrna's most important passive, the entire skill changes shape. As I covered in the previous video, every time an ally is healed, Byrna gains magic attack. In my testing, that increase was 544 magic attack per healing trigger. So every heal is not just sustain. It is fuel. It is scaling. It is feeding every other part of her kit. Now connect that to Roar of Nature. You see 65,000 magic damage and think, fine? Decent. Maybe strong. But in one of my battles, Byrna reached close to 1 million damage with this single skill. That is when you have to stop and ask the real question. What happened between 65,000 and 1 million? That gap is where Byrna becomes a real problem. Working backwards through the math, to deal close to 1 million damage, Byrna needs roughly 1.4 million additional magic attack on top of her base. And to stack 1.4 million magic attack through Living Heart, Byrna and the healers around her need to trigger healing roughly 2,500 times. Pause on that. This is not a burst combo. This is not one lucky cast. Byrna becomes dangerous because thousands of small healing events quietly stack and stack and stack, until the numbers stop looking normal. Players who only watch the opening seconds of a fight will never see the real Byrna. The real Byrna shows up later, once the engine has had time to build. And when she arrives, Roar of Nature stops being just a team skill. It becomes a battlefield swing. At full scaling, that one cast hits the enemy team for close to 1 million damage, heals every ally for close to 1 million health, and raises every ally's max health limit by close to 1 million. All at once. One cast. 3 effects. All at 1 million scale. That is not value. That is momentum. That is the kind of activation that can flip a fight that felt settled. Now here is something important about the timing of this skill. Roar of Nature needs energy to fire. It is not passive. It does not spam. And that creates both a strength and a limitation. The limitation, you will not see the extreme version early. The skill needs time to arrive, and the scaling needs time to build. The strength, when it finally lands after a minute of healing engine activity, the impact is enormous. In my testing, the extreme version starts appearing in the last 30 seconds of longer fights. If Byrna survives to roughly the 90-second mark, supported by healers, with consistent healing activity throughout, that final cast can hit close to 1 million across all 3 effects. And if she does that to a full team of 5, that is roughly 5 million total health and max health added to her side in a single moment. 1 million per hero. Every ally simultaneously healed and harder to kill. That is not a small advantage. That is a complete shift in battle state. So here is the warning, and I want to say it once, clearly. The first 60 seconds are your window. That is when you still have control. That is when your team can apply pressure before the scaling becomes unreachable. Because once Byrna survives long enough, once the healing engine matures and Roar of Nature reaches its late battle form, you are not finishing that fight cleanly. Her team becomes too large. Too healthy. Too difficult to close out. Design your team with early pressure in mind. You need the ability to threaten Byrna fast. You need the tools to break her before the engine builds. Because if you give her time, the battle will slip away from you, and you will feel exactly when it happens. Byrna is strong from the start. But after 90 seconds, she becomes something else. That is where Roar of Nature transforms from a solid team skill into a massive nuke, and a massive survivability spike at the same time. That is where players who underestimated her realize they gave her too much room. The deeper I go into her mechanics, the clearer the picture becomes. Byrna is not just strong. She is a hero who demands respect from the very first second, because if you allow her engine to mature, stopping her becomes nearly impossible. Roar of Nature is the proof. It is not just healing. It is not just damage. It is a late battle conversion engine that turns sustained scaling into control, survivability, and overwhelming pressure, all from a single cast. Do you think players are underestimating how dangerous Byrna could become after that first minute of battle? Let me know in the comments. If the breakdown helped, drop a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. The next Byrna strategy test is coming, and you do not want to miss it. Salute and friendship. In Dominion, the players who understand the scaling first are the ones who stay ahead.